What is going on, crypto enthusiasts? Happy Monday. I'm hoping you guys had a phenomenal weekend. May the grace of God be with you. And let's dive into the charts and talk about where ETH is going to be going. I have a couple different ideas for you, but I don't want to disdain from the main idea that we do have lower targets to be coming. It's just a matter of if it's going to drop inside the month of November and we're just going to get that flush that we're finally looking for, where that big long is going to be coming from, or if we're going to continue to play this range with ETH inside the month of November. And I'm leaning more on the side of us having a little bit of a range that we're going to be looking at. One of the things that I'm focusing on is going to be DMI, right? So DMI right now is showing us that yes, there is bearish momentum, and yes, they are picking up some strength, but they haven't actually crossed over this DI negative, which that's usually an indication for me that there's full bear control altogether. You can see something like this right here, where the momentum was above, and then we had the ADX that was just underneath it. And then it collapsed back down and it started doing this, what I call the DMI tango. And so you can see on your price action what occurred with that. Yes, price action came down, but then we quickly recovered and now we're just kind of moving sideways in this fashion. We could see something very similar to that on lower timeframes, but I just want to reiterate the ultimate goal for us as far as where the big longs are going to be coming from. I think they're going to be coming from these areas. Now I want to dive down to a 4-hour, give you guys a peek at that. Let's go ahead and just look at purely at the chart, what this looks like. I'm looking at this current pattern getting us into the 44.27 levels. That's going to be one of my targets, potentially a little bit even higher, 45.88, maybe even a little higher. Essentially, it's this trend line. This is where I feel like the big short is going to be coming from, no pun intended, where we're going to get down to those lower levels for the wave 4. And again, just to reiterate, in case it's confusing, we're looking down in these levels for wave 4. You can look at last week's video. You can see where the confluence was coming from, that from the vertical run up, having the sharp level in contrast to wave 2, things of that nature. So I won't bore you with those details, but let's just continue to dive into this 4-hour. So I'm looking at two different patterns here. It's really contingent on what happens for wave D. Wave D can stop here at this current level, roughly around the 14th. So in about 11 more days or so, we should see us starting to have a local bottom here in this area. And it could just come down to this level right now, to this trend line, and then start moving sideways until we get to this point. Now, if it does come to this level, then we're looking at a Max Gartley. Those are going to be the ratios based on a Max Gartley. I was looking at an additional option in the event that we do have a continued flush, because I do have some setups on a 55-minute. We can see that there's an anti-cipher right over here, and this anti-cipher for full TP would bring us down into these levels, actually a little bit lower, to bring us to this green line right over here, which is in the 3,300, so sub 3,400. But for the time being, again, I want to go back over to that 4-hour and say, well, if we stop here, then we have a Max Gartley. If we come down a little bit lower and we come down to these levels right over here, then essentially we're looking at a partisan 2.2. Both are going to be phenomenal swing setups for us. I don't think they're going to be swings that we're going to hold all the way to all-time highs. I think they're going to be swings that we're going to be able to hold into these levels, and then we're going to reassess, seeing if we need to open up a head short, or if, God be the glory, and we move even higher into new territories such as 4,700, 4,800, 4,900, and even higher. That being said, right now what I'm looking for is waiting. That's going to be the main caveat right now. It's just waiting for this level to start appearing and showing itself. One thing that I like to use on these is going to be a sequential count. Let's go back over to a 4-hour real quick. And a sequential count is going to give me that notion that this move is not complete just yet. We can see that we're printing a 4 and a 5. And then essentially we have a 12 that's also printing, which means we have roughly around 4 more candles on a 4-hour that we're going to print lower lows. And when we hit a 13, that 13 is going to show us that this trend is going to have exhaustion. So really what we're looking for on a 4-hour from a sequential count is we're looking for candles like this. These are essentially exhaustion candles. This trend was not complete yet because we can see that we're printing a 3 and a 4, and we needed 13 total candles to show that the trend was exhausted. So we're waiting for this to give us a 13 coupled with an 8 or 9 that's lower. So we have a little bit more time. So right now, sit on your hands. I wouldn't be taking any longs here in these areas. We did have a long that we were testing right around the 36.87 benchmark all the way up to 37.15. Yes, we did get stopped out on that position, but it comes with the territory. So I want to give you guys some fresh data. Hopefully this information serves you well as far as finding those targets. I'll be monitoring this on 55-minute and lower, even down to 3 minutes, looking for the break of structures. And I'm looking for the sequential counts, but I will be deferring back to a 4-hour to give me that stronger data coupled with the DMI. I also want to see that we do start to get a curve down. So essentially I'm okay with the ADX stretching into this 60 zone, maybe even down to this 80 zone. Maybe we get a small little pop up into this area and then a big flush and push down to these levels. I really want to see the ADX do something like this at some point, whether it be a 60 level or an 80 level. We can see from past data, typically we stretch just above the 60 level and then we get into this 80s, and that's really when the move is going to be truly exhausted. So we're looking for something like this where we get a peak and then it creates this valley right over here, and then we can get a run back up. That being said, if you guys have any questions, any concerns, please feel free to reach out to me. Discord fam, I'll be posting this inside my corner, live updates as we move along through this. I'll be following up with you guys with another update on Wednesday. And for those that are part of the Discord family, please, as a reminder, we do have a live stream on Thursday at 8 p.m. Please come ready with any of your questions. Feel free to DM me so I can put it on the list. As of right now, we're going to be discussing sequential counts, and we're going to be discussing sessions. When to be entering into New York session, Asia session, or even London session, and what's going to be the optimal opportunity, whether to short or to long. Other than that, have a phenomenal start to your week. Be profitable. Most importantly, be safe, and God bless you. Peace.